Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the May 15th, 2025 Woodland Park City Council meeting. Suzanne, would you take the roll, please?
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor Case,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Nakai,
Here.
Councilmember Bryant,
Here.
Councilmember Gear,
Here.
Councilmember Jones.
Here.
Thank you. And Councilmember Smith is absent this evening.
Thank you. Would everyone please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We're now at item 3, ceremonies, presentations, and appointments. Item A is presentation of whole blood resuscitation by EMS in Teller County, a critical life-saving initiative. And please welcome Dr. Sean Keenan, Teller County EMS Medical Director, UC Health.
Hi, hello, Mayor, City Council. Thank you for having me here. I thank John Butler for making the introduction, and Krista Muchmore, who's with support staff of the UC Health Memorial Hospital Foundation. Hey, so my name is Sean Keenan. I'm an emergency medical services physician. I've been Teller County Medical Director for most of the agencies in Teller County for the past just over a year or so. In the past, I was physician with the Army, retired after 27 years. And while I was physician in the Army working with special operations, about 15 years ago, we started introducing whole blood. And what that is for people that were badly wounded on the battlefield. They started giving blood transfusions. And so it was something that was relatively rare, but very quickly became the standard as we realized we could save lives with it. What we also found out was if we gave whole blood sooner or soon after somebody got hurt or wounded, they actually did much better. And we have science to show that. So then I retired and I was working for Department of Defense and also working in emergency medicine. And I realized that it started to come to the civilian side. Now, whole blood is relatively new to ambulance services. So less than 2% of all ambulance services in the United States currently have whole blood, but it's picking up very quickly. And in fact, in Colorado Springs, almost exactly a year ago, they went live with whole blood in the Springs, and they've given almost 100 units over the past year. They're hanging blood on somebody about every 72 hours down the Springs, and they're saving about 3/4 of those people. So they're having amazing results with the whole blood. But again, getting it to patients in the field before they get to the hospital absolutely improves survivability. They're seeing more people make it to the hospital. And it's not just wounded people. It's people that have medical problems like gastrointestinal bleeding. Or there's a very dramatic story of July of last year where there was a pregnant lady who started to bleed to death in her own kitchen while she was pregnant, while she was close to term. They were able to get there, give her whole blood, get her to the hospital, and save both her and her baby. And so that story, and they share it around the community, is pretty huge. Now, being up here in Teller County, Woodland Park, Gribble Creek, going all the way out to Lake George, we have a much longer transport time, meaning although there are probably less patients that will need it, those people that are bleeding to death absolutely are going to benefit from this. And we can call helicopters out to the west, but helicopters can't fly about 30% of the time. And so what we did was we did an analysis, and we figured out in Teller County about 2 patients per month that interact with the EMS service would benefit from whole blood. They would be eligible using the same criteria. So we did the math, and then we started a campaign probably about 9 months ago to get it up here. And I'm happy to say that we should go live with whole blood next week here in Teller County. So, yeah, that was it. I'm excited too, actually. So, so we are early adopters. We're the 3rd rural county in Colorado. We will be I think the 6th service in the state to go live. But because we are an early adopter, both in the United States and in Colorado, right now there is not a mechanism to reimburse for whole blood. And so if UPass, UPRAD basically responds, they will try to charge insurance companies, but there's no mechanism to pay them back. And each unit of whole blood right now, because it is a scarce resource, runs about $700 a unit. There's also equipment that needs to go with that. So they have to have sophisticated coolers, refrigerators that have 24/7 monitoring. There's apps on them. They can monitor the cold, but they need to do that. And then blood basically expires after 21 days. And so they have to refresh it. Now, the Memorial Hospital system has a great system in place, and they have generously decided to invest in 4 units up here in Teller County, 2 at the hospital, and then 2 on the supervisory vehicle with UPRAD. And they have also, with the Memorial Hospital Foundation, had a very successful and continue to have a very successful philanthropy campaign. And through working with the Pikes Peak Regional Hospital Board, as well as individuals like Max Levy, who's on the board of the hospital, but also hosted a fundraising event at his family's restaurants. The mine actually contributed $30,000 from Cripple Creek. So the new mine that just took over, we interacted with them, and they were very generous, as well as many community leaders here, and given us our time, like John, who's made a bunch of introductions for us, but also with the foundation that's worked tirelessly, probably for the last 6 months, to hold fundraising events. So we were very close to the goal, and that will cover, the initial rollout of the blood, but the continued funding of the blood, which we think will have to continue to raise money for about at least 2 to 3 years, while the Center for Medicaid and Medicare in Washington, basically they have to pass national legislation to get this as a reimbursable expense. So there's a bill going up this year that will start that process. But until then, basically folks are going to have to rely on philanthropy, rely on donations. We were able to get $20,000 from the RETAC. So there's a fund that goes to EMS here in the county. So Tim Dienst was able to, who's the CEO of UPRAD, if you know him, he was able to successfully lobby to get that from the RETAC. So we're working many different angles, and again, a lot of the citizens here. So this is really just an information brief to y'all to tell you that the community has really come out, and it's not just monetary donations. So both of the ambulance services, Southwest Teller in Cripple Creek and also UPRAD here, are hosting blood drives, as well as the fire and other organizations. So if folks are, thinking about donating blood, what we want to try to do is advertise back to these companies, because they are for-profit companies that collect the blood, that we are doing our part to raise money, collect blood and raise money to serve the citizens here. So that's kind of my basic presentation, just what I wanted to tell you and kind of tell you about. And also Krista has information about if folks want to donate either personally, or if they know, I think we went to Walmart, gave us a donation. We've approached a lot of businesses in the community as well. So very generous, and yeah, it's allowed us to go live next week. So I just wanted to make the community aware of this tremendous service. And it's not frequently that something comes along that actually can make a difference, for ambulance people. We can actually save lives. So
Excellent.
I'll open it up to questions if you all have
Thank
questions.
you. Council, do you have any questions? All right. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Appreciate the
Thank you.
information.
Well, thank you for having us here. So
You bet.
Yeah.
Did you have something you'd like to share? Okay.
No.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.
all right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
That takes us to item 3B, economic impact presentation. Presenter is representatives from Charis Bible College. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, council members, thanks for having me here today. My name is Tom Bennings. I'm with Summit Economics. We do applied economic analysis throughout the state of Colorado. And really one of my first projects many years ago was in Woodland Park. So it's good to be here. I see I've got about 15 minutes, so I'm going to go through this rather quickly, and happy to take any questions afterwards. First, I got to learn how to use the system. Oh, gotta turn it on. There we go.
There you go.
All right, thank you. Okay, so first a little bit of background on Andrew Womack Ministries and Charis Bible College. Mr. Womack moved to Manitou Springs in 1980 from Texas to moved his ministry there. In 1994, he started Colorado Bible College. In 2002, the college changed its name to Charis. In 2014, they moved up to Woodland Park at the sanctuary property. In 2018, the ministries joined the college on the campus with their new global headquarters. And in 2024, the first dorm opened on campus. So when you think about successful ministries, they really demonstrate very strong abilities as multimedia organizations. From the Woodland Park campus, they engage the world through their websites, television networks, books, events, and social media platforms. In 2023, they answered 950,000 calls in their Woodland Park location from around the world for prayer and product. The ministries as a global operation generates $100 million a year and is employing 1,100 people worldwide. So you have a global headquarters here. Future expansion plans are focused on the college campus with state-of-the-art facilities. So now that's the organization, turning our attention to Teller County. So we really looked at the economic and fiscal impact of the organizations on Teller County and Woodland Park. And the main thing you want to really focus on with economic impact is money coming in from the rest of the world. And so we call that the basic economy or the economic base of a community. So money comes in from the rest of the world. It gets circulated locally, depending upon the community, multiple times, and that's what we call the multiplier before it leaks out back to the rest of the world. The Colorado State Demographer indicates that the economic base of Teller County is comprised, the four largest areas are tourism, retirees, commuter earnings, and transfer payments. With 638 employees working at the sanctuary, represents about 6.5% of the economic base of Teller County. The other way we looked at it in terms of really kind of considering Teller County is the last 50 years of growth in specific areas. And then we compared that to the last 10 years, which is when Charis and the ministries moved above the clouds, so to speak. And so with that, you see that on average, there was strong growth over the last half century in Teller County, with population at about 3.4% annually and jobs at about 4.5% annually. In the last 10 years, both of those have dropped close to 1%. We believe that that's largely due to water constraints and maybe some land constraints as well with federal ownership of land. But it's important to note that the jobs added at the sanctuary represent 4.2% of all jobs in 2022. So in that 10-year period or 8-year period, they added that level of the job base in the county. And that compares to when Walmart opened in 2013, added 2.9% to the job base. So it's a significant impact. When we look at the direct dollars flowing into the county, they come from four basic sources. The first one is operations here in Woodland Park, as well as the investments made in the facilities there, such as the new dorms, student spending off campus, and conferences and people who come to those conferences. So when we total all those sources of direct dollars flowing into the community, into Teller County, it totals to $137 million annually. And you can see the breakout here. About 100 million is operations on campus. Construction last year was about 25 million. Student spending about 8.5, and conference attendee spending about just under 4 million. When they get multiplied out, that second column, total economic impact, it grows to $184.7 million, with about $72 million in earnings, creating a total jobs in the county of 1,056. Looking at some of the specifics, such as construction, we see in 2024 that 24.7 million was spent. In 2025, it's budgeted with the additional dorm space, 29.5 million. And from 26 on, in the next, I believe it's 10 years, the estimate, the budget, capital budget forecast is about $750 million to be invested in the county. Looking at what's been going on with the student population, 2 points to make here. First of all, since 2021, that time frame, we've seen almost a doubling of the students at Charis Bible College. And the largest growth has been our residents in Teller County. So that has grown from about 409 in 2021 to 694 last year. Looking at the conferences that they hold, in recent years, they've averaged 18 events per year, covering 54 days. So their events most frequently are multi-day events, with average attendance per day exceeding 1,000. So that's a large number, but also important is that 72% of them come from more of the conference attendees come from more than 50 miles away. So they are more likely to be looking for overnight lodging and spending money for more meals in the local economy. So those are the economic impacts from the various sources. Now we turn to a summary of the tax impacts. And here we see in total, we have in Teller County total taxes about $264,000. Woodland Park, $535,000, with the bulk of the taxes in Woodland Park coming from sales tax and especially the conference tourism. And then the bulk of the taxes in Teller County coming more from property tax. One of the major critiques of nonprofit organizations in Colorado is that they don't pay property taxes. And that's often rather frustrating to the local taxing authorities or to the tax base. But the point I want to make here and with this analysis that we did is that the property is held, all the property that they operate on is held by New Life Holdings. And the assessor has those properties valued at total taxable assessed value about 434 million, with taxes that would be paid of $662,000 annually. So that's what's foregone by being tax exempt. What they generate, though, through their employment and everything we've just talked about, is about $629,000. And so it's kind of a wash. And we don't include the impact on commercial assessment in our analysis, so it's even closer to a wash. And then the other question is, if you did not have a nonprofit campus located there, what would that property be and how would it be valued by the assessor? I think the value would be a lot more agricultural in nature and to keep tax bills down And so I don't, the bottom line is that it's reasonable to conclude that Karis and Andrew Womack Ministries has a net positive impact on property values in the county. Turning our attention to the impact on the housing market, housing demand created by the students and the employees it was significant in the last 10 years. There were more units built in Teller County during that period of time. The bigger problem is where the mix of units. So there were not as many units as needed in the lower, more in the rental market. And you can see that plays out here. Data from Zumper.com shows that Woodland Park has the highest average rent compared to those neighboring comparables. That could be because there are more single-family houses in the rental mix. Don't know that for a fact. But we do conclude that given the magnitude of the employment and impact in the last 10 years, as well as the student impact, the number of students, that there's likely an impact pushing rents and prices up a bit in Teller County and especially in Woodland Park as a result of the college. Labor market impacts are also worth noting. So the students, many of the students at Karis are looking for jobs, part-time, full-time, and we show here the some of the employers that we easily identify where they work. And it's important to note that the retail industry has been struggling quite a bit in recent years with a lack of lower skilled workers or looking to fill those jobs, retail jobs that pay less. It's a major concern with executives in the retail industry. Some research we've done indicates that, especially in the general merchandise and fashion store segment, being understaffed has an impact on sales roughly to the tune of 4.5% to 8.5%. So we don't know what that impact is here in Woodland Park by having a lot more labor to support retail. But just as a sort of as an indicator, a 1% increase in retail sales tax collected in Woodland Park equals approximately $85,000. In addition to that, the college and ministries have been supporting the community, supporting over 30 local nonprofits. In total, they have given over $900,000 to nonprofit causes. And students have volunteered over 22,000 hours in the community since 2016, in addition to hosting events such as the free 4th of July musical for the entire community. So in conclusion, let me just conclude by hitting some of the high points that are worth noting. First of all, what you have here is an organization with a global reach. So that adds diversification to your economy. The economic impacts that have emerged in the last 10 years now place Karis and the ministries accounts for about 6.5% to 7% of the Teller County economy in a 10-year time frame. And this came into being in a point in history when population employment growth rates in Teller County were declining. The growth rate was declining, still positive though. Job creation at the sanctuary equals the total net wage and salary growth from 2012 to 2022 in the county. And as I mentioned, you have achieved more economic diversification. In total, they create $185 million in total output in Teller County, which is roughly equal to all revenues. And even without the construction impacts, that would still total over $150 million. The addition of the dorms and being able to house 456 students should relieve some of the pressure in the local apartment and rental market. However, it's also possible that more students move up from Colorado Springs and onto campus as well, which would give you more students in the area, which would have greater impact on retail and the housing market. I mean, and the job market, the labor market. And finally, the dorms can add to the local lodging for conferences during the peak summer months. And I think about half of their conferences occur during that period of time. So that should help out with sales tax resulting from tourism in the area as well. So with that, I thank you and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, sir. Council, any questions?
Yeah, anyone?
Go ahead, Jeff.
So, per your slide on local property tax impacts by taxing authority, I struggle with the language of it's a wash, because if you weren't tax exempt, you'd be contributing $662,301 a year. I struggle with the idea that this community provides fire, EMS, and police services at our cost and not yours. Our fire department is in desperate need of a new ladder truck. Last time I knew, Karis had refused to help contribute to that cost. So my question really is, how can you claim that your impact on the community is a wash when we're missing out on almost $750,000 in tax revenue?
Well, there are two elements there. One is, as I mentioned, the impact that they have through the direct impacts that they have, all of those impacts generate property taxes as well.
Yeah, but they would have generated them either way.
No, not if they're not here. So if you don't have Karis here and you don't have those 650 primary jobs and 72 million in earnings, a lot of that disappears. So that's one point. The second point is that let's assume that the owner of that property never sold it to Karis or Andrew Womack. What would that property be doing today? Because you have a situation with residential where you have your rationing permits, right? So it wouldn't necessarily have become a big residential development. Would it have become a high-tech campus? Maybe. And had it done that, then you're right. Then you would be collecting $662,000 in property taxes from that assessed value. Plus, you would have had those jobs as well.
Fair enough. What
Okay.
I'd like to see is with the amount of revenue that Karis claims to be taking in, I believe you said roughly 100 million a year. I'd like to see at least an opportunity to help us out in some of the things that your tax exempt status precludes you from normally helping us out with. So I would strongly encourage Karis to become a more active partner in our community when it comes to some of those costs. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
Anything else, council? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You bet. All right, council, that takes us to item 4, additions, deletions, or corrections to the agenda. And I don't see anything. Suze, we have anything?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. And item 5 is the consent calendar. We have 2 items, council. If there either of these you'd like to consider separately, just let me know, but I'm going to bring them to your attention. Item A is agreement between RME Ltd. LLL Elite Service Agreement between RME Ltd. LLL DBA doing business as Elite Surface Infrastructure and the City of Woodland Park in the amount of $659,568.31 for infrastructure improvements on Browning Avenue. And item B is approval of the May 1st, 2025 regularly scheduled city council meeting minutes. Council,
Can we break them up?
you can.
Perfect.
Would you like to take item A?
Yeah.
All right.
And I believe this question's for you, Aaron. On this contract for Browning, we are not doing the full shebang like what we did on Lake, correct?
Correct, yes. This is
Okay.
gonna be mill and overlay and some drainage improvements, some curb and gutter.
Perfect. Thank you. I just wanted that to be clear for the community, so.
Thank you. Anything else,
Oh,
council?
And Aaron, this did come in, just for the community again, this did come in under budget, correct?
Yes, the budget
Yeah.
had 1.1 million.
Okay, thank you.
Significant savings.
Yeah, how often do we get to do that, where we get to come in half?
First time I've seen.
Then in that case, I'll make a motion for the approval of item A, an agreement between RME Ltd. LLL Elite Surface Agreement between RME Ltd. LLL DBA Elite Surface Infrastructure and the City of Woodland Park in the amount of $659,568.31 for infrastructure improvements on Browning Avenue.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion, council? All right, Suze?
Okay, Case,
Yes?
Nakai,
Yes.
Bryant,
Yes.
Gear,
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
All right, item B, council, could I get a motion? Item 5B.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the approval of the May 1st, 2025 regularly scheduled city council meeting minutes.
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion, council? Suzanne?
Thank you. Nakai,
Yes.
Bryant,
Yes.
Gear,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Case.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, council. That takes us to 6, public comment on items not on the agenda. Suze, do we have folks online?
We have nobody that wants to talk to us tonight, Mayor.
Well, I don't know about that. In the audience, yes, ma'am. If you'd come forward to the podium, we'd love to hear. That's fine. Please join us at the podium. If you just give us your name and city of residence, please. When you get there. No rush.
My two brand new knees, thank you very much for not making me rush.
Not at all.
I just got a clean bill of health from my surgeon.
Well, congratulations.
My name is Patricia Hines. Mailing address is Woodland Park, although I'm literally 20 feet from the city lines in the unincorporated Teller County. But I consider myself Woodland Park resident in my heart. Just a general comment about everything that's been going on, and I'm sorry that Carol isn't here tonight. I wanted to thank her for all her hard work and service on city council. There's a contingent who will insist for a constitutional republic where representatives are elected to make decisions for the community, and that's all of you guys. There's another group that calls for a democracy, insisting that the ultimate authority is the will of the voters. Voters get to decide. Their decisions are final, if not sacred. You've done it both ways and been dragged over the coals for it by the same folks or the same fake social media accounts. It's hard to tell online. If you're unhappy with the short-term rental vote outcome, sue city council. If there's dubious financial transparency with disingenuous excuses from the school board, well, put the 1.09% sales tax to a vote. Whistleblower document warns that the school board wanted to lock in that tax for 30 years, giving council only 3 days to take action. So you called a special meeting to keep the city's authority over its tax and fiscal accountability responsibilities by repealing the sales tax. Republic. By the way, there's nothing that city council said or did that closed the door on putting back support for the school district in the future. So keep that as a perspective. Unfortunately, you're all painfully aware that you can't win with some folks, even when you're trying to do your best for the whole community. But many of us do see, and we value your hard work, your judgment, and your grace under pressures and all these conflicts. So thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mayor, I do have someone that just raised their hand on Zoom,
All right.
and it's jspg@live.com. So if you'd like to speak, you can speak, sir or ma'am. You just have to unmute your microphone.
There we go. Okay.
Full name and city of residence before you
Yes.
begin.
So, full name Patricia Glatfelter, city of residence, Florissant, lived in Teller County since 2008, and been a Colorado resident since birth. I just wanted to make a comment about the initial presentation and, the impact that, that Caris has had on our community. My personal experience has been that, I was volunteering teaching exercise classes at Forest Ridge across the road from Caris on the early phase of COVID. And there were several men walking up and down the property line of Caris with long guns, where I could see them out the window with my elderly clients. And I found that probably one of the most frightening experiences I've had in Teller County. So that bothers me, that that's the attitude. And there were a lot of great numbers that were provided today, but the impact, the financial impact I see is also a financial drain. You just talked about the cost of roads. People who attend Caris are on the roads a lot, and that they don't contribute to the cost of maintaining those roads. I feel like we put a lot into them surviving here, but I feel quite limited in what I can see that they really contribute to the health of the community. And the last time I checked, there wasn't a lot in the Gospels about making money being the most important part of functioning on the planet. So,
Thank you. Are you finished? I don't want to interrupt you if you're still
yes,
there.
I'm complete.
Well, thank you very much for your comments, ma'am. Anyone else in the audience wishing to address the council this evening? Seeing no one, we will move on to item 7, unfinished business, which we have none. Item 8 is ordinances on initial posting. Item A is approval of ordinance 1496, series 2025, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Woodland Park, Colorado on initial posting, confirming the repeal by the City Council on March 10th, 2025 of the portion of the city sales tax that formerly supported the Woodland Park School District, thereby reducing the city sales tax by 1.09% as of March 10th, 2025, and set the public hearing for June 5th, 2025. Nina.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Mayor and Council. So just want to go through a little summary. So on March 10th, by emergency ordinance 1492, you as a City Council of Woodland Park repealed the portion of the city sales tax that previously supported the Woodland Park School District. Because your actions were emergency or via emergency ordinance, the sales tax was immediately reduced by 1.09%. To 3%, and the city instructed retailers to begin collecting that tax at the 3% rate. Section 7.7C of your Woodland Park Charter states, quote, an emergency ordinance shall not be in effect for more than 90 days after passage and shall not be extended as emergency ordinance, close quotes. However, pursuant to the Tabor Amendment to the Colorado Constitution, that's a taxpayer bill of rights, any tax, once it's repealed, by any means, whether emergency ordinance or otherwise, may only be reimposed by voters at an election. Notwithstanding this explicit command of the Tabor Amendment, the fact that Ordinance 1492 was approved as an emergency ordinance and your Woodland Park Charter language has led some people to speculate or opine that this 1.09% tax might be able to be recreated or reimposed once the 90-day period of the effect of the emergency ordinance expires. Again, it cannot, pursuant to Tabor, without an election, and that's similar to any tax that is repealed. It would need to be reimposed by an election. But in order to clarify and memorialize Ordinance 1492's intent and remove any doubt or speculation as to the permanent effect of your March 10th, 2025 action repealing the tax, again, permanent in effect due to Tabor, and due to the language in Section 7.7C of the Charter, this ordinance would memorialize such a repeal with a regular non-emergency ordinance. This also serves procedurally as a belt and suspenders approach. It's a prudent recommendation from our office to remove any doubt or confusion from the public and to resolve the express language in Tabor with the portion of your charter relating to emergency ordinances. Let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you, Dina. Council, any questions? This is first reading.
So just to be clear, even if this ordinance did not pass, the tax would not be reinstated.
Correct, pursuant to Tabor.
Thank you. I would be looking for a motion on first reading, please, and set the public hearing.
I'll make a motion for the approval of ordinance 1496, series 2025, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Woodland Park, Colorado on initial posting, confirming the repeal by the City Council on March 10th, 2025 of the portion of the city's sales tax that formerly supported the Woodland Park School District, thereby reducing the city's sales tax by 1.09% as of March 10th, 2025, and set the public hearing for June 5th, 2025.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion, council? Suzanne?
Thank you. Bryant,
Yes.
Gear,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Case,
Yes.
Nakai.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, council. Item 9, public hearings. Item A is America's Mountain Festival Special Event Temporary Use Permit. Consider a request by Derek Wagner of the applicant and Taba House Properties LLC, the property owners, for a special event temporary use permit for a musical event for approximately 3,500 attendees to operate before 7 a.m. and after 9 p.m. on July 5th, 2025. The subject property is located west of Woodland Hardware in the east one half of Section 24, T12S, R69W of the 6th Prime Meridian, and the address is 201 Saddle Club Drive in the Central Business District Zone. And the presenter, this is a QJ item, council, and the presenter is Karen Schmink.
Good evening, council. So thank you for announcing that item. This is an inaugural event here in our community. And when you have a temporary use permit, they are typically reviewed and approved administratively in the planning office. We do a lot of cross coordination between a variety of departments to make sure any issues associated with the event can be worked out in advance. It also serves to help put the health department on notice, especially if there's vendors for a group of people, that kind of thing. So it really brings folks together so that we can support and have a successful event. It's when an event operates between 9 p.m. or 7 a.m., outside those, or in those hours, that those requests are subject to city council approval. So that's why this is here in front of you. This application was received on February 19th. We followed all the public notice requirements, including posting the property with signs and then letters being sent to adjacent property owners. To date, we have not received any comments in the planning department. Like I said, those referrals were sent within city departments and then outside the city, Northeast Teller County Fire Department, Teller County Health, those types of folks were involved. And back on April 17th, a number of representatives from those various agencies sat down with the applicant, and we worked through a lot of loose ends associated with the application. So that gets us to where we are this evening. This is a rain or shine event, as explained by the applicant, and the event site is here central to our downtown, just south of Bergstrom Park. The property is primarily accessed through that South Center Street. And because of the size of this event, there's a number of other properties that are going to be used in support of this. It is an event for 3,500 guests or patrons. And so related to that, they are using off-site parking in support of this. So this map shows you those various other properties. Item number 1, Park State Bank. I understand they're primarily doing support for artist parking, their equipment, trailers and such. Site number 2, Our Lady of the Woods. There's additional VIP parking that's going to be at that particular location. Vectra Bank is primarily a shuttle drop-off site for the off-site parking. Site number 4 is the Woodland Park High School that's providing parking. And that particular site will be walk-in. So folks that park out there need to walk into the event venue. And it's site number 5, Saddle Club property down there south on Highway 24. There will be a shuttle providing service to bring people back and forth between that parking and the event venue. They were asked to provide at least 875 parking spaces. And we used a formula from our existing city regulations. And that brought us to, that number of 875 spaces. They are providing over 1,100 spaces. Some key points to this, because of the size of the event, it's actually a couple of days in terms of prep and cleanup. So starting on July 3rd, that's when they start some initial site setup. And then it's actually, the cleanup concludes on July 7th. The day of the event, July 5th, there's early morning setup that begins on the venue site itself. So they had, based on their timeline in your packet, we're saying 5:30 a.m. And then by 11:30 p.m., they expect the site to be vacated. It's the artists that perform between 1:30 p.m. and 9 p.m. according to that schedule. And on event day, it's about 11:30 a.m. when the VIP ticket holders are allowed entry to the event venue. And it's at noon where general admission to the event venue is started. In your packet, in addition to detailed site plans, there was in a timeline for the event, there was a traffic control plan, some other maps that showed light tower and generator placement, the walking route from the high school and designated crossing places across Highway 24, and then the shuttle route information between the Saddle Club property and Vector Bank. The applicant has stated that they will be providing private security for this event. And at the time that your packet went out, the permit from Colorado State Patrol was still pending. We did receive that earlier this week on May 12th. Special event liquor license request will be forthcoming after tonight. So in your packet, there was a detailed site plan that was provided. On this particular map, it's at the very top where you've got Highway 24. Down here about the eastern third to the south, that's South Center Avenue that comes in. And then Saddle Club Avenue goes out here to the east to South Park Street. So it's really this lower part of the property below Saddle Club Avenue where most of the activity is happening. The event itself happens in the southwest corner. The stage is actually about the center point. Oops, back up. Sorry about that. About this, at the southern end of the property there, kind of in the middle, is about where that stage sits. I think it's that orange spot number 4. The green rectangles or squares in there are all a variety of trash cans that have been deployed throughout the site or planning to be deployed. And then the restrooms are in yellow with hand washing stations associated with those. And then there's a number of other vendors associated or laid out throughout the property. The food vendors are primarily on South Center Street. There's another vendor village there south of the construction site. And I should actually note that here, the southwest corner of South Center Street and Bergstrom Alley, that is where that new building is going up, which is the proposed Tava House restaurant. So all of this is happening south of there. The shuttle drop-off point is over to the west at the southern end of the Vector Bank parking lot. And then the primary entrance into the site is just below that by this larger red square on the left side of the screen. So again, because there are extended hours associated with this, that's why this request is in front of City Council this evening. And this is the first year for this event. Per our city code, if this event is successful and they are wanting to come back in future years, like next year to do something similar, an administrative approval of the event is potentially allowed, provided all temporary use circumstances are substantially unchanged from the original application and no complaints or issues have been received by the city. So there is the potential that this could be handled administratively in the future. So in your packet was considerably more information about the event itself. And at the end, there was a recommendation from staff with a list of 20 conditions. An event of this magnitude, it's very typical to see that type of a list of conditions. And when you look at other applications that come on an annual basis, a lot of these conditions are shown on those applications as well. So the recommendation tonight is to approve the temporary use permit for a musical festival at 201 Saddle Club Avenue, subject to compliance with all temporary use standards in the municipal code, which is section 18.62.050.c, and the following condition. 1, complaints. The applicant shall be immediately responsive to complaints received. 2, insurance. They need to provide the city with a copy of the event certificate of liability insurance with the city of Woodland Park identified as additionally insured in the amount of $1 million for each occurrence and $2 million for general aggregate. The insurance must cover all days of the event. That's July 3rd through July 7th. That includes all setup and cleanup days. 3, site security. Site security shall be the responsibility of the applicant and coordinated with Woodland Park Police Department. 4, Colorado State Patrol permit. Provide a copy of the permit from CSP. 5, property owner requests. The applicant must comply with any conditions property owners have requested for use of their property in support of the event. Just to pile on and explain that a little bit more in your packet, it was noted a couple of entities wanted to be named as additional insured on the event insurance as well. I believe that was like the high school and Our Lady of the Woods. And they might have had some other requirements of use of their property. So number 6, the traffic control plan notes that the applicant has obtained traffic control services through Work Zone. The traffic control plan has been prepared by them in coordination with the city of Woodland Park. 7 is business licenses. The applicant shall ensure that vendors that do not already have a City of Woodland Park business license will complete a 1 to 4 day event license application. This application must be submitted to the finance department at least 1 week before the event. The sales/use tax return form with the collected sales tax must be submitted within 1 month after the event, and the phone number for finance is provided. Number 8, food. They need to comply with all Teller County public health and environment requirements, including submittal of a list of all food vendors attending that will be preparing and serving food. Vendors preparing food for public consumption shall require a Colorado or Teller County mobile food truck license and shall display the issued Teller County Public Health approved certificate stating they have been approved to serve food at special events in Teller County. Please note that food for the public may not be stored or prepared at a private residence, but instead food vendors must work with an approved commissary kitchen. Contact Environmental Health for more information. 9 is sanitation. Toilet paper and paper towels for the portable toilets shall be provided by the applicant, and the applicant shall ensure that all portable toilets are adequately stocked and maintained with all paper supplies throughout the duration of the event. Hand washing stations must be located near the portable toilets. 10 is trash. The applicant shall provide trash bins throughout the area. On and off-site trash, garbage, or debris shall be cleaned up during and upon cessation of the event. All trash shall be picked up, bagged, and removed from the event site at the end of the event, and final cleanup shall be completed by the end of the day on July 7th. 11, event hours. The music festival shall be open to patrons only between 11:30 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. July 5th. 12, notifications. At least 2 weeks prior to the event, the applicant shall provide written notice to adjacent property owners and businesses of the event dates and times, and any street closure or traffic control operations that may affect them. 13 is signs. A sign permit is required for banners or other signs posted longer than 24 hours. 14, mowing. All grassy areas used for parking, such as the southern part of the event site, or Lady of the Woods, and the Saddle Club property, and the event site area shall be mowed to no more than 4 inches in height prior to parking any vehicles, assembling the stage platform, or any vendor setup. 15 is tents. Applicants shall comply with the temporary tent and canopy structure checklist. Stakes are not permitted in the ground, and open flame cooking shall only be permitted in approved and labeled tents with fire extinguishers handy. 16 is access. Vehicle and pedestrian access to surrounding businesses shall not be obstructed, nor shall event participants or volunteers park in spaces dedicated to surrounding businesses unless permitted by the affected businesses. 17, curbs and sidewalks. Vehicles shall not traverse or park on city sidewalks or curbs. 18 is noise. The event shall at all times be subject to municipal code 9.41 noise, except as herein waived. 19 is generators. All generators shall be turned off by 11:30 PM. And then lighting. All lighting for the special event shall be downcast and fully shielded. That's all I had.
Thank you, Karen. I just wanted to make an announcement. I meant to do it before we started this. There's been, it's been brought to my attention that there's been concern that I am compromised in my ability to consider this item because I am a sponsor of the event. However, the sponsorship that I am doing with the event with my business does not provide me any benefit or any monetary benefit or anything else. It is because I am an avid supporter of many events in our community through my business. And that is the sole reason that I'm supporting the event, because I think it's a great event for our community. And otherwise, I receive no benefit from that. George, did you want to say something?
Yeah, thank you very much, Kelly, Madam Mayor. I would echo the same comments that you just made and add on that from both my wife and I, our perspective from the businesses that we own in downtown Woodland Park, we sponsor many events and we'll continue to do so. This is just one of many for us.
Thank you, George. Council, any concerns from you all? Okay, thank you. Thank you. Just wanted to make that. And so with that, council, do you have any questions for staff? Okay. Would the applicant like to come up?
I think other council.
Oh, I'm sorry, Seth. I
No,
didn't
that's quite
see
all
you.
right. I didn't speak up quick. I do have one question here. Hopefully Chief Deipsler would be able to help us out.
He's marching. It's more of a march, I think.
All I need is boots, I guess. Good evening, everyone, sir.
Good evening. Thank you for making your way up here.
Of course.
I can certainly appreciate how an event this large has considerations for a lot of departments, in our city. One of them obviously would be the police. I understand you're going to be there providing support in where their security might need it, and just kind of regular policing. Are you having to deal with additional staffing to provide that appropriate level of policing? And is there additional funding that you're needing in order to do that?
I'll start with the last part. No.
Okay.
We're good. The first part of your question, and I'll try to be brief, but it stems from the same thing, right? I've run special events with 100,000 people, 150,000 people, and now we're looking at this. Anytime we have a special event, it will require us to get involved and expend resources. That's just an expectation. When you have a full service agency like we are, and the one that we are proud to be, the expectation is that in some way we will provide that service level to the best of our ability. How that happens ultimately is my decision, and I just move pawns and we plug holes. This is really no different than any other event that I've worked. We're here, we stand ready to support it. We have local law enforcement partners who stand next to us, ready to help fill up more gaps if we need it. Again, this being the first one, see how it goes, but I'm fairly confident we're headed in the right direction.
Thank you.
You bet.
Anything else for staff council? No? All right, Derek, if you would join us. Thank you, Chief. And if you'd like to give us any information or presentation, we'd be happy to hear from you. Otherwise, we'll see if council has any questions.
Yeah, let's talk about something fun rather than all this boring stuff as of late.
Thank you.
Derek Wagner, Woodland Park, Top House CEO, I guess, court jester, you name it. But honestly, I'm just ready for questions for this event that I'm personally excited for.
All right, council questions for the
So,
applicant.
Yeah, I have one or two, if you don't mind. So my biggest concern is that this is an active construction site.
Mhm.
And so are you planning to fence this area so that they can't get to the rest of the
Yeah,
active?
everything's fenced off. I don't want people on my construction site. That's the last thing I want. So, yeah, just people tend to not be able to walk appropriately.
Well, yeah,
uh,
steel-toed
that kind of
boots and
thing.
hard hats are pretty much required.
No, everything's fenced off for the construction site. Has anybody been down to the site or at least passed by lately? It's, as of today, the festival site has been 99% fully graded, Chris. Yeah, the thought is to bring in and grass it, but now we're looking at used AstroTurf just to make sure we have an appropriate surface for this event to happen. But as far as the construction, that's all fenced off. I don't want people on my site.
Great, great answer. Thank you. And then the second question is, I've gone to Bronco games, and if there's lightning in the area, they obviously postpone the event. And it's a 10-mile, they use a 10-mile distance. If there's lightning within 10 miles, they make us leave the state or, whatever. So what is your distance that you're planning on doing with the WeatherBug app?
Heather? What? 10
Is it
miles.
10 miles?
There you
Okay,
go.
great. Thank you very much.
Anything else, Seth?
Hi, Derek. It's the first time I think I've ever spoken
Yeah,
with you, but
I
I
think
really
that-
appreciate you making yourself available.
Well, I just want to thank you for the consideration for the approval of this.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like you all have done a lot of work with the planning department and the planning commission to get to this point. So I certainly applaud you in coming this well prepared. I was left with some questions, but I think that you'll be able to answer them pretty easily for me. To kind of piggyback off Catherine's question, in the event of severe weather, where do you put up to 3,500 people?
Same place we put them when we had the Symphony Above the Clouds over at the middle school. It's pretty much fend for yourself. There will be retail stores open and what have you, but, I talked to Kelly at the hardware store, gave him a heads up. If something happens, I just, it's the quickest location to try to take cover, but just with whatever these technological apps and however they work, just like any sporting event or what have you we have in this town, that's what we have to go with.
Are you going to have some sort of announcement system to help the crowd become aware of what they need to do?
Yeah. Come on, Heather. Go ahead. Tell them how that works.
Please
Here,
come up to the
please.
podium. Yes, thank you.
Hi, everybody. Sorry, just a little shorter. My name's Heather Burrows, and I am the Director of Operations for this event. We will be using the WeatherBug app, as well as our ticketing system. It also has the capability of texting and emailing our patrons. So we can send an instant text message out or email if needed. And then we do over the loudspeaker, we will be able to make announcements there as well.
Okay, great. I understand the insurance condition for 1 million for each occurrence and 2 million for general aggregate is defined by our code. Is there any additional insurance that the event is carrying? Just, napkin math, $571 per person of coverage just seems kind of low. So I don't know what other considerations you may have made.
Well, it's a per occurrence type of coverage. So we're not covering 3,500 people all at once. It's for those individual events that may occur to some poor soul that might, stumble over a beer can.
Okay. So this wouldn't have any larger event liability consideration if you had to do ticket refunds or something like that. I understand it's rain.
That aspect for a rain or shine event is why we announced that as far as the tickets and weather and all of that. This is more of a liability aspect of a trip and fall or drunk stumble.
Okay. And kind of along that line, the drunk stumble, the alcohol service, I know the application for the liquor license is forthcoming. When are you planning to start and stop service?
Nicole, I don't remember what we applied for on that. I think it was like 7:30, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, and then, I also want to note, we're applying for activities before 7. Since we applied for this application on February 12th, it's come to my knowledge that all this setup and stuff is actually not going to start before 7 a.m. 7 AM, I think is the actual start time for all this setup, excluding the traffic control plan by work zone. They might show up at 5 or 6 in the morning, but they're putting signs along 24 and what have you. It's really not a noise engineering kind of thing. So
Sure. Just to make sure I understand clearly, you're going to stop alcohol service at 7:30?
I think it's 7:30, but I'd have to look at the
Oh, okay.
application with
Okay.
Nicole's helped us with all of that stuff, just so.
Okay. And then along with kind of the traffic control that you had mentioned there, have they talked about any sort of anticipated delays? I know we've kind of got that moving RV and boat show all weekend long up here during the summer, but are there any additional delays you're anticipating?
As far as the delays aspect, that's sort of why I'm actually moving this time frame past 9. Is just in case we have a storm move in, sets us back by half an hour, we have a little leeway because we pay these artists whether or not they perform. However, if, lightning rolls in or whatever, our storms are pretty short. So if we can still squeeze in, move it to the 10 o'clock noise ordinance type of thing. We're just trying to be polite just in case.
Sure.
We're planning on ending at 9, so.
Okay. And I have one more question.
That's right.
With the generators, I've noticed that they're looking to be placed kind of near the mobile park home. Is there any ability to move those further away from residences, or what kind of noise level might people be able to expect from that?
The generators themselves really don't make much noise, if you've been down there, but if you haven't been out there lately, as of today, we did build a big berm to offset the noise to the mobile home park. Just a little more considerate, if you will. Plus they'll be receiving letters and general admission tickets to come join us.
Oh, that's
So,
great.
yeah.
Great way to be good neighbors. Thank you very much. That's all the questions I have.
Jeff, do you have questions?
Well, I did, but I want to thank Seth and Catherine for asking almost all of my questions for me. The only remaining question I had is you mentioned earlier about potentially putting some recycled astroturf down so you're not operating on top of dirt, which obviously gets questionable for rain. There's 2 parking lots that part of the site plan. They are labeled as VIP and artist parking areas. Are you intending for those to remain dirt, or are you intending to put gravel down or anything like that?
I don't think we're putting gravel down. We will spread some grass seed, see what we can grow there in time but we'll also think about compacting the soil just so it, extremely firm. I don't know if anything would grow there anyway, once we're done. with that.
My head always runs into, if you get unlucky and catch a nice little monsoon shower and the ground's not prepared, it could get kind of interesting. So that's why I was just
Yeah,
curious.
now we have our,
Thoughts were-
small temporary detention ponds built in place as well, but that soil drains pretty quickly as
It's
well.
all
so
mostly clay, isn't it?
I don't know.
All right, that's all I had.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else?
Stick around. I'm going to open the public hearing. You never know what. Oh, I forgot about George.
Oh, no, I'm good. Yeah, you guys,
Good.
George.
Yeah.
So sorry.
that's okay.
We all do that when we have people on Zoom, so I will try not to do that again.
Hey, George.
Forgive me. If you'll stick around, I'm going to open the public hearing and see if there's folks that want to address the council, please.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. I will now open the public comment portion of this public hearing and ask if there's anyone online. I don't see anyone, or in the audience that would like to address the council. All right. Seeing no one, I will close the public comment period of this public hearing and look to the council for further discussion or a motion.
I have one more quick question, Derek. I'm really sorry. And it might be for Heather, actually. Have you sold 3,500 tickets?
No, we have not.
Okay, so that's the goal, but that's
Yes,
not, okay.
correct.
So it may or may not be 3,500.
Correct.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right. Anything else? All right. Can I get a motion?
Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve America's Mountain Festival Special Event Temporary Use Permit as written with the conditions from the planning session. However you want me to say that, is that?
Conditions in the TUP?
Conditions in the TUP. Thank you.
All right, a second?
Second.
I'll second.
Thank you. All right, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion, council? All right, Suzanne?
Thank you. Gear,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Case,
Yes.
Nakai,
Yes.
Bryant.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. Congratulations. We look forward to it. All right, item 9, I believe, B, is Woodland Station filing number 2 subdivision preliminary plat amendment and final plat as requested by Tava House Properties LLC, the applicant and property owner, to amend the previously approved preliminary plat and approve a subdivision final plat to plat 6.69 plus or minus acres into 3 lots and 2 tracts. The subject property is located west of Woodland Hardware in the east 1/2 of section 24, T12S, R69W of the 6th prime meridian, also known as 201 Saddle Club Avenue in the Central Business District Zone. Karen.
Good evening again. Relax. I'm gonna talk for a while. So,
It's the Tava show.
well, and I've got a lot to go through because somebody's always new to the party. So it is a longer presentation, but I promise to move it along as best I can. The good news is it will be thorough. So thank you. So the property is located, also very similar to the last item there in the center part of the downtown. It is about 6.63 acres in size. There's an additional 0.06 acres of right-of-way or land to be dedicated as right-of-way along the very western edge of the property. It's on a parcel currently owned by Beer Garden Lane. The site is primarily vacant. There is 1 building under construction. Then, like I said, the site is primarily accessed through South Center Street and Saddle Club Avenue, which Saddle Club Avenue comes off of South Park Street. Immediately to the north is Bergstrom Park. Woodland Hardware Station is to the northeast. Ute Chief Mobile Home Park is there to the south. On the west side, like I said, there's the Beer Garden Lane parcel, and then there's a parcel that's owned by the city of Woodland Park. On site, there is some existing drainage infrastructure as well as existing city water and wastewater service in the immediate area. This particular property falls within the Downtown Development Authority area. They adopted a foundation plan for this area's redevelopment back in February of 2002. And then in 2007, the Woodland Station Overlay Zone District was established with the intent of supporting development in this particular area. And that overlay zone provides some additional flexibility for how things can get done there. There's a lot of concern or desire to have this area be compatible with existing structures in and around the area and be sensitive to our mountain historic environment and then be in harmony with Woodland Park in general. Also associated with this area is resolution number 677, which provides design guidelines for how the area gets developed. The area is zoned Central Business District and like I said, falls within that Woodland Station overlay zone. In the city code, it provides purposes for what kind of uses you want to see in that particular area. The comprehensive plan provides other guidance for how that area should develop. And it has a number of goals and policies and action statements related to land use and growth, housing, community character, economic development, sustainable environment, parks, trails, and open space. So there's a variety of policies and such there that support development in this area and this type of a project. The future land use map, specifically, I targeted this area for downtown mixed use. There's not a real robust definition around what does that mean, but it's a mixed use area that can support community events and fill in the currently vacant downtown areas. Staff note is that traditionally mixed use is thought of as street level retail and commercial uses with residential units on the upper floors of the same building. So for some background, it was in April of 2023, where the Downtown Development Authority and City Council approved a plan of development for this area and then authorized a sale of this land to Tava House Properties LLC. And it was that time in reviewing that plan of development that we looked at a number of items that needed to be considered throughout this project. So that was things like lot configuration, infrastructure installation needs, environmental concerns, site access and circulation, the uses that are going to be on these particular lots that are being developed or subdivided, parking for the area, architectural design, landscaping, parks and trails. 2 years ago, there were historical assets also on the property. Those were things like the stagecoach sculpture and the cog car, both of which have been relocated. And then we flagged very early on the need to engage CDOT with regard to their review issues, concerns, since access comes directly off Highway 24. There was the potential, we flagged the potential need for signalization changes and possibly turning lanes, which could impact Bergstrom Park. So within that master plan of development, they identified 4 phases. This slide illustrates 3 of them. The upper right-hand corner is the phase 1, which is the Tava House Restaurant, the building currently under construction there at the southwest corner of South Center Street and Bergstrom Alley. And then on the lower left illustration, you can see kind of shadowed out the Tava House Restaurant. And then to the left side of that is phase 2, which is additional retail. And then center in that bottom image is phase 3, which consists of a public plaza as well as additional retail type development. Phase 4 lays south of Saddle Club Avenue, and no uses were identified in that plan of development. No definitive uses. They were talking at that time about developing that entire area with housing. So again, this plan of development was approved in April of 2023 with a lot of initial comments around things to be conscious of in the project. The sketch plan, which is the first part of a subdivision process, was reviewed and approved in June of 2023. And many of the comments in that regarding feasibility and design of the subdivision mirrored those issues that were identified in that plan of development. Last February was when City Council reviewed and conditionally approved the preliminary plat for this project. And so, like I said, that was the initial plat proposal being conditionally approved. After one of the conditions of approval was the need to enter into a subdivision development agreement, which is a contract between the developer and the city related to the installation of infrastructure. And another condition associated with that was completion of or finalizing the actual drawing set for the preliminary plat documents. So that subdivision development agreement was approved by City Council on August 1st of last year. And it was in October on the 23rd when that document was actually recorded. And like I said, there's a variety of conditions and permissions unique to this project, one of which is the ability for the developer to get their building permits and start construction on that building before the final plat was approved and recorded. And so it was shortly after that SDA was recorded that the building permit was issued there at the end of October last year. The preliminary plat document set was approved earlier this year, February of 2025. So now you have in front of you a request from the developer. Rather than just come in with a final plat application, they decided they would like to make some changes to the preliminary plat and include more lots that encompass future phases. So that's the big change that they're asking for. And I'll go into that in a little more detail. So this slide, and you had in your application or your packet, what that preliminary plat looked like, the initial one that was approved. And so lot 1 is the lot where the restaurant is being constructed right now. And that is part of phase 1 of that plan of development. Tract A falls north of Saddle Club Avenue, and that was at 0.95 acres. That encompasses phases 2 and 3 of the plan of development. And tract B is south of Saddle Club Avenue. That's the large rectangle at the bottom of the picture there. That's 4.63 acres, and that coincides with phase 4 of the plan of development. Things we looked at back then were the CDOT requirements regarding access permits, turn lane being required, how the site was accessed, the fact that they are providing additional land area, so the Bergstrom Alley will be 5 feet wider. Saddle Club Avenue is being extended to the west. South Pine Street along the western side of the property is being constructed. And that does include, I said, a little bit of property that's off-site, part of the Beer Garden Lane development property. City property. So we looked at utilities, where those are falling, what needs to happen with easements, the fact in track B that you've got.
I think the microphone went dead.
You are. Good job. We'll try this one. Ooh, that was loud. Thank you, Suze. So we were looking at utilities, what's needed to run additional utilities. So what kind of easements are required in that tract B, made sure that the drainage that runs through the center of that was clearly delineated on the plat. And then in this corner of Park Street and Saddle Club Avenue, there is an existing detention pond that actually provides drainage support for phase 1 of development in this area, which was the Woodland Hardware store. And so that pond will continue to support this area, including the property under development at this point. So what's different now? Primarily what changes is north of Saddle Club Avenue, which runs through the center of this picture. So that tract A was previously that 0.95 acres. That's what's being further divided at this point. So lot 1 stays the same. Lot 2 is being proposed here along the western side of the property, and that coincides with phase 2 of that plan of development. And then there's a lot 3 at the corner of Saddle Club, the northwest corner of Saddle Club and South Center Street. And then the balance of tract A is in between all those, and that's the site for the future public plaza. So that's what changes more than anything else. Since we've had the benefit of routing this for review and working again with those other agencies and what their needs are to provide support, specifically utilities and infrastructure to the area, we were able to further finesse and finalize easements, utility easements in this area. One of the things that's a little bit different for this property, and this was put together in combination with city staff and representatives from CORE, is these right-of-way widths for Center Street and Saddle Club Avenue are abnormally wide. Normally you see about a 50-foot right-of-way. These are both at about 74 feet in width. So rather than have additional easements land on the lots themselves, CORE and the city is agreeable to having some of those easements or a dedicated land strip within the right-of-way set up for that. This is where these utilities go. So that's part of what you're seeing on the proposed plat change. With regard to access to the site, the developer continues to still work with CDOT. Staff of the developer had a meeting with them back on, I believe it was April 18th, where we talked about what was required for those changes in the highway. And one thing to note from that meeting is it was very clear that in the future, when lots 2 and 3 north of Saddle Club Avenue develop, when there's a project ready to come in, that at a minimum, they need to update the access permit with CDOT. And there is a potential that additional access or improvement requirements will be needed at that point in time. So the final plat document is the document that actually gets recorded, and once recorded allows the landowner to then sell these lots by using the description of like Lot 2, Woodland Station Piling Number 2. So the document clearly establishes that these are plat or parcels that can be bought and sold independently or conveyed to another property owner. And it does need to reflect what the preliminary plat was agreed to. So the example I've given before is the three phases of subdivision: sketch plan, preliminary plat, final plat. Your sketch plan is like back in high school English when you wrote the outline for the term paper. The preliminary plat is your rough draft, and the final plat is your final report. So they all build on one another. Because this project's been moving fairly quickly and in a non-traditional sequence of development, one of the loose ends we had out there was a final landscaping plan. When you guys saw this a year ago, your packet included a preliminary landscaping plan. And with issuance of the building permit, one of the conditions of approval was that the final landscaping plan needed to be approved before that final plat could be recorded. So we've had opportunity to review that. There's a couple little tweaks that need to happen on the landscaping plan. One of which is up in Bergstrom Park. We'll talk about it a little bit more. There's the current entrance into the park gets relocated. So we need a note related to revegetation of where that entrance, the existing entrance, is closed. With regard to working with CORE, there are places where transformers need to be located. We need those clearly delineated to make sure that they don't conflict with the proposed landscaping. We need to clarify some tree sizes. Because of our arid climate, we all know that the landscaping needs water. And so we are recommending a separate irrigation tap to support that, but an irrigation plan is required. And then the developer is proposing a common area maintenance agreement where these landowners all contribute to the care and maintenance of this particular area, which ultimately includes the plaza as well as the landscaping. With regard to CDOT, these images here are very fresh, that I think it was last week when the applicant updated their submittal with CDOT to hopefully very soon finalize their design waiver requests and get their permits. So on the left is the changes that need to happen at South Center Street off of Highway 24. And so in the center lower part of that image is the parking lot for Bergstrom Park. And on off of Center Street, that's the existing entrance that gets closed. The new entrance will come off of Bergstrom Alley. And here along the north side of the park is where a turn lane is needing to be installed. So with the addition of that turn lane, it does require the removal of the trees along there, as well as the elimination of a few streetlights, and the sidewalk gets relocated and realigned in there. One other note here with the new entrance off of Bergstrom Alley, there's a couple of mature trees that also need to be removed in order to get that entrance in there. The other intersection that gets impacted by this particular development is further to the east, and that's where South Park Street intersects Highway 24. You currently have a full movement intersection at that location, which means people can make turns regardless of which way they're coming and going, whether on or off the highway or on or off Park Street. So in the name of safety and integrity of this intersection, part of what happens is this center island in the highway gets reconfigured with a much longer stacking area for folks that are coming west that are then going to be making a left turn on to South Center Street in towards the development. As part of changing and extending that, there is also going to be the closure of the current stacking area for somebody headed east on Highway 24 that would want to make a left onto North Park Street. So that maneuver will no longer be permitted. And then somebody coming north on South Park Street, they will only be able to make a right onto Highway 24. If you're headed westbound on 24, you can still make a left onto South Park Street or still make that right onto North Park Street. So it does reduce the turning movements at that intersection. As I mentioned before with Bergstrom Park, there are real impacts that happen there, and this is consistent with what you saw in the construction drawings and the subdivision development agreement. We've been flagging from very early on that there is the potential for impacts here, and those need to be completely identified and resolved prior to issuance of the certificate of occupancy. So as I mentioned, that deceleration lane involves the removal of trees there adjacent to the highway, closing the Center Street access. The new access from Bergstrom Alley removes trees. And then because of these impacts to city-owned property, in the subdivision development agreement, it states clearly that this compensation to the city needs to be finalized through a separate process prior to CO for the building. So realizing that you've got a variety of impacts to the park, I believe it started with the Downtown Development Authority where they wanted to reimagine Bergstrom Park. We should take a look at this and what potentially else can happen here. And so this year we just started a planning process to look at that particular park, and the advisory committee just met for the first time, I think it was last week. From that meeting, I was able to extract an image that really illustrates the impacts to the park. And it is a little startling when you first look at it, but it supports very much the need to really look at this from a community level. So with that, this photo sim here in the bottom center of the screen, you're looking towards the east along Highway 24. And where that person is standing, that's where you currently have a row of trees. So that gets removed, and it has a very different look there with the turn lane next to the travel lanes. The upper part of that image is a cross section that shows the parking spaces in the park and how the sidewalk is elevated relative to that parking area, and then the turn lane on the right-hand side. Subdivision plats are referred to, and related to this, this planning process, there are 2 upcoming community meetings at the Ute Pass Cultural Center. The next one is at the end of the month, May 28th, between 5 and 6:30 p.m. And then there will be another meeting June 25th, 5 to 6:30 p.m. to really engage and provide a comment and opinion about the future of the park and what happens. So subdivisions like this, the plats, they get referred to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. In this particular subdivision, there's not much for them to comment on at this point in time, largely because the plan for the area was really set back in April of 2023 with that plan of development. So everything they're doing is consistent with that plan of development, and they continue to show that public plaza as part of the phase 3 in the center of this area. One of the things that was flagged early on in that plan of development was environmental concerns. Those of you that have been around a long time understand that there was a voluntary cleanup plan that was approved by Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment back in 2008. That plan did expire due to delays in the development. And then this last year, and it was actually after both Planning Commission and City Council looked at that original preliminary plat, that the phase 1 environmental assessment for the property was completed. And since then, the developer is now working with CDPHE with regard to that. And there is a strong likelihood that there's a notice of environmental use restrictions that will be recorded associated with all of this land. That draft set of restrictions, it does state that no domestic consumption of groundwater from this property. And then the rest of them really relate to keeping CDPHE apprised of who owns the land or any changes in the use. So if somebody came in with an application that had to go through another public hearing, the landowner needs to make sure CDPHE is aware of what's going on. Or if it's further subdivided, there's that requirement that they would also be aware of that. So as I stated previously, we did all of our standard referrals with this particular project through our various city departments and then outside agencies. We were primarily interacting with Core Electric and then CDOT, addressing their concerns related to this project. Public notice requirements were met, And we only received one public comment to date, at least in my office, and that comment was attached to your packet. In reviewing the plats against the technical criteria, staff found that the preliminary plat complies with the required municipal code sections. And then Planning Commission held their hearing last Thursday on May 8th. And they recommended that City Council approve the preliminary plat subject to 6 conditions. And that conflicts between easement locations and the final landscaping plan are reconciled. The project engineer needs to provide confirmation that available stormwater system can handle the addition of the turn lane in Highway 24 adjacent to Bergstrom Park. Per the engineer's May 2024 drainage report, a final drainage report must be submitted for the final plat. 4, the project engineer must confirm or provide an update to the construction documents to ensure that city utility service lines align with the proper lot. 5, all comments and red lines from city staff and external review agencies are resolved on that plan set. And then 6, the preliminary plat amendment drawing set is finalized and approved with all signatures. So the final plat, again, was reviewed against the technical criteria, and the staff found it to be in compliance with the applicable code sections. Planning Commission held their hearing last Thursday on this same document like you are tonight. And they recommended that City Council approve the final plat subject to 6 conditions. And so with that, tonight, the preliminary plat, the recommendation is to approve the preliminary plat as presented with those 6 conditions I just read. With the final plat, we did revise 2 of those conditions slightly to better support what needs to happen around this. So it's actually conditions 4 and 6 that were finessed a little bit. And you saw both of those side by side in your staff report. So the final plat recommendation, the conditions being that the preliminary plat amendment drawing set's been finalized and approved with all signatures. 2, all comments and red lines from city staff and external review agencies regarding the final plat document have been resolved. 3, the final landscaping plan, including an irrigation system, has been approved. 4, recording reception number for the conveyance of the 15-foot strip of land from Beer Garden Lane development to the city of Woodland Park for use as right-of-way is added to the final plat. So the change was in the nuance of how that got conveyed. That landowner now wants to convey that directly to the city of Woodland Park. 5 is the recording reception number for the establishment of the public utility easement along the west side of South Center Street, and the public utility easement along the south side of Saddle Club Avenue are added to the final plat. And then this last one, number 6, we removed the exact dollar amount and made this a little more flexible so that once the transportation capital fee item has been finalized, it does not need to come back to City Council as being so specific. So at City Council, if it's your pleasure, the condition 6 would be any required transportational capital fee has been paid prior to recording the plat. So that's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you. Wasn't bad.
Well, somebody's
Council
always new,
questions for
you know?
staff.
I have one quick
How could you
technical,
have a question? No.
technical question.
Yes, ma'am.
Could you explain to me what's the difference between a lot and a tract?
Well, in Oregon, it's a world of difference, but I know that's not where we are. In Woodland Park, the lots are typically identified as something that's buildable and ready to go. Tracts you see more associated with this needs further development or refining. So why the plaza is a tract and not a lot, I couldn't say, because in theory it potentially could be a lot, other than it intends to be. I think the ownership will remain Watava House, but it's tract B to the south of Saddle Club Avenue that really is subject to further platting and subdivision and development.
Thank you.
Jeff?
Yeah, so last night at Crab, the discussion came up regarding the additional land that has to be taken from Bergstrom Park to accommodate the right turning lane that CDOT's requiring. It's not really a question, it's more of a comment that, it's the desire of PRAB to try to limit to the extent possible the amount of trees, that are taken out. We want to try to preserve as much of that as we possibly can. So I just wanted to convey that from the Parks and Rec Advisory Board to you. Second is actually something that I thought was really interesting and I really liked. The closing of the left turn lane there for North Park Street off of eastbound 24. Do we feel like that may facilitate the need to extend the left turn lane that from eastbound 24 to Fairview Street at some point? Or is that more of a CDOT thing?
I'm gonna let the developer
Okay.
address that. They're
Alright.
considerably more familiar. And per the subdivision development agreement, they asked that they be able to just deal with CDOT directly.
Okay.
And
Fair
so
enough.
they're the ones.
All right, no worries. Thank you.
Mhm.
Anything else for staff, council?
Yeah, this
Oh,
George.
George.
Yep.
I even
Hey,
wrote
I-
your name down so I wouldn't forget.
Thank you. Yeah, Karen, I just wanted to thank you for the thoroughness of this and also extend my thanks to the Planning Commission because that was a great job. I think you guys did a bang up job putting this together.
Thank you.
Thank you, George. All right. Okay, we'll hear from the applicants again. It's the Tava Show. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Mark Weaver, Woodland Park. Nicole, would it be possible to do that PowerPoint? Hang on, before we get going into this, I think it's important to recognize the amount of work that has gone into getting to this night. The amount of heavy lifting and meetings and input and counsel with any number of stakeholders for this property has been significant. Karen, thank you for that great report. The staff report, it's great history, tells us how we've taken so long to get here. This is 2 years just to get to this night since we bought the property. If I cannot answer questions tonight, much of our team is here tonight. The whole crew literally is here with us tonight. So thank you, Mayor and Council, for considering this. We are asking for you to approve the preliminary plat amendment and the final plat. That's what our ask is for you tonight. And you've got a lot of data, a lot of information, and I thought it would be nice for you just to see a little bit about what's happened in the last about 9 months. So Nicole, if we could go to the next slide. So this is just the information. So it's Derek and I, the owner and the applicant, and that's part of our team. Ryan Lord, our architect, David, our civil engineer, Eric Simonson, surveyor, Jeff Hodgson, traffic engineer, Paul, our attorney, Chris Hansen is our owner's rep. We've got part of our lender group is here tonight. So that rounds out a lot of our team that's here tonight. And next slide. Okay, so we bought this in April of 2023. Gosh, all that's 2 years ago. And then we had the groundbreaking for the restaurant, which everybody sees this under construction and going vertical. That was in September of last fall. And just so you know, the project scope, it's an over $8 million project to do this. It's the restaurant and all the infrastructure, the utilities, the streets, consultants, everything is in that number. To date, our group, we have spent over $3.2 million out of our own pockets to get to this point. We look for a grand opening in first quarter of 2026, probably in March of next year is what we're thinking. And it'll have a casual dining restaurant, a fine dining component, and a meeting room there. Okay, next slide. In case you haven't seen, here are some of the renderings of the restaurant. That is looking to the northwest. And then next one, Nicole, please. That's looking straight to the north. This vantage point is you're standing in the public plaza that's going to be constructed. You're looking straight into the restaurant. That area off to the left, that's where the meeting room is going to be. That's where, if you go out to the site now, you see the glue lambs that are sticking up high. That's that west side of the building. The elevator shaft and the fireplace base, those are some of the metal or stone structures that you see out there now. And then next one, Nicole. This one is looking to the northeast. And this is right here by the meeting room area, that capacity that's there on the left. And then it all spills out to the south onto the plaza where you're looking straight at Pikes Peak. And then last rendering, I believe, Nicole. Yep, that's the view from Highway 24. What you're looking at upstairs there, that's the fine dining component. That's an outdoor seating area up there. The bars right through there, that sort of thing. And I think that's all the renderings. Yes. So that's the latest pictures. That tells you where we are to this point. And we're really grateful for you to be considering this. Thank you. Any questions for me or the team?
Thank you, Mark.
Sure.
I just wanted to just point out too, I did
Yep.
see that Eric Simonson, the surveyor, is online.
Oh,
So
great. Okay.
if you need him, counsel,
Yeah.
he's
Hi,
there.
Eric.
All right.
Yeah, Catherine.
Council questions. for
Hey,
the
Mark. Hey,
applicant.
Mark, how are you?
Great. How are you?
Good. So kind of piggybacking off of what Jeff said with Prab,
Yes.
is there a plan to, if you have to remove the trees, to try to put some of those trees back in anywhere, in any way, shape or form?
But it's in the landscaping plan.
Okay.
That there's other trees and green space around all that commercial area. That's where we're gonna have other trees
Okay.
constructed.
And then are you thinking of maybe putting bushes up against the sidewalk or anything? Sorry.
Yes, yes. I would say there's gonna be landscaping around it.
So it won't just be concrete and,
No, and we want it to look good,
Okay.
so we're gonna make sure that it has good landscaping, trees, bushes, that sort of thing.
okay. Thanks.
Sure.
I,
Yes,
I'm-
Karen.
I would like to
Yes.
offer that. Based on the illustration and stuff I've seen, I'm skeptical that there's much space in there between the existing parking, the sidewalk, and then and specifically the existing parking and the sidewalk. I was under the impression from the developer's engineer that really boils down to not much of anything. But I know from the advisory committee meeting, from looking at the park plan going forward, that they're very much looking at other vegetation throughout that whole area and what else can possibly happen. So I guess.
Yeah, thank you for that clarification. No.
That's gonna happen between.
Well, yeah, that was my
the
concern.
sidewalk, the highway and the park parking.
Okay, thanks.
Great, yeah. At Berkshire Park, no, there's not room to put anything. This is more down around the plaza that we're gonna have.
Jeff, did you have a
Yeah,
question?
Jeff.
Yeah, so first of all, very impressive. Congratulations
you.
for getting where you're at. I eagerly look forward to opening, which is
Me too.
exactly my question. What's your current anticipated opening?
St. Patty's Day, next year.
All right, perfect. Thank
Just
you
wanna-
so much.
Yep, sure.
Anything else for the applicant, counsel? George? Did it?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Stay tuned. All right. All right, council, I'm going to open the public comment portion of this public hearing and see if there's anyone online or my computer died, Suzanne, so I'm going to rely on you.
There's nobody online.
All right. Anyone in the audience wishing to address council with regards to this item 9B? Seeing no one, then I will close that public comment portion of this public hearing and look to council for further discussion or a motion.
I think
I'll do it again. I make a motion to approve the Woodland Station filing number 2, subdivision preliminary plat amendment and final plat as written with the planning commission recommendation conditions for the final plat.
I'll second.
Thank you, council. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Yes, ma'am.
Was it conditions for both the preliminary plat and the final
Yes.
plat?
Yes,
Mhm.
thank you very much.
Is that all right with the second as well? Yes. Same intent? Thank you.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Karen.
Suzanne?
Yes, ma'am. Jones,
Yes.
Case,
Yes.
Nakai,
Yes.
Bryant,
Yes.
Gear.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
All right, thank you. At this time, Catherine, I'm going to look to you to make a motion for us to go into executive session.
Yes, I move to make a motion, sorry, let's start over. I make a motion to move into executive session for the purpose of conferencing with the city attorney for the purpose of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions under CRS section 24-6-4024B and for the purpose of determining positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiation, developing strategy for negotiations, and or instructing negotiators under CRS section 24-6-4024E, and the following additional details are provided for identification purposes. Legal advice regarding performance deed of trust subordination request by Tava Properties LLC.
Thank you. Do I have a second, please?
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on that, council? All right, Suzanne?
Thank you. Case,
Yes.
Nakai,
Yes.
Bryant,
Yes.
Gear,
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
All right, we will be convening the regular meeting once we're finished with the executive session. So if you'd like to stay, please do.
Is that where, did you get it on your computer? Because I have it on mine as well. Okay.
Council,
Sure.
are you ready, madam? All right. All right. The time is now 9:02 p.m. And the executive session has been concluded. Will all participants in the executive session please state their names for the record?
Catherine,
Go ahead.
Catherine Nakai.
Seth Bryant.
Jeffrey Gear.
Kelly Case. Oh, I'm sorry, George.
George
Go ahead.
Jones.
Kelly Case.
Oh, yes. Nino Williams, City Attorney.
Aaron Vassiletti.
Suzanne Leclerc.
Karen Schmink.
Thank you. If any person who participated in the executive session believes that any substantial discussion of any matters not included in the motion to go into the executive session occurred during the executive session, or that any improper action occurred during the executive session in violation of the open meetings law, I ask that you state your concerns now. Hearing none.
Would you like me to present the request or?
Yes, please. Nina, if you'd like, we are on item 10B, the performance deed of trust subordination request by Tava Properties LLC. Ms. Williams.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, Council, and the public. So the performance deed of trust subordination request by Tava Properties LLC is included in the packet under 10B. Particularly, there was a letter dated April 23rd, 2025 regarding subordinating the performance deed of trust as it relates to the properties that consist of phases 1, 2, and 3, which will be connected to a construction financing, as well as the property connected with phase 4. And that request is well documented in the packet, which I know Mayor and Council have reviewed. In the packet also is the performance deed of trust itself, the recorded side document, as well as the Woodland Station Development Agreement, which outlines the obligations and what the performance deed of trust connects to. What we did not include in the in this section 10B, just for sensitivity purposes, I made the judgment call, was the letter from the lender, which was also dated April 23rd, 2025, but it is referred to in the Colorado Law Group's letter, which is from Park State Bank and Trust. And we spoke about, in executive session, we spoke about legal advice as it relates to this, but anything general that if council wants to talk about this request and before they vote on it, could be prudent.
Thank you. Council, would you like to make some comments about what happened with the executive session and where you are with regards to how you intend to vote? Would you like to share anything?
And just to clarify, it doesn't need to be, not about what happened in executive session, just, sorry, Mayor, just as it relates to this request, because now we're out of executive session and you're formally either approving or considering or not approving, this performance deed of trust subordination request.
George, anything that you'd like to share?
I don't, no, I don't think I have anything. I do have a question though. So what are we considering a motion, or are we just, are we just going to consensus?
We will be making a motion to accept
We
this,
Okay.
The performance deed of trust subordination request.
Okay. So, yeah, I have nothing ahead of that.
All right. Well, based upon Nina's comments, the request makes sense to me. In order to secure permanent financing for the construction, this seems to be the reasonable thing to do. And so with that, I would look for a motion. Council?
I make a motion to approve the Tava House Properties LLC's request to subordinate the subject performance deed of trust, including finalizing, execution, and recording one or more partial releases of the performance deed of trust, or full release at some future date, as contemplated in the performance deed of trust, subject to final review and approval by the city attorney, and granting the authority to the city manager to execute necessary subordination agreements required in connection to this request as recommended by the city attorney and subject to final review and approval by the city attorney.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any further discussion, council? George?
Yeah, this is where I was okay, I wanted to get to the motion and then have discussion. So, yeah, I think this is a good idea. I think this, as you pointed out, Mayor, this gets the city out of the way, lets the bank do its thing. So it seems like a normal course of action at this point.
Thank you. Anything else? All right, Suze? Did you have something?
Yeah, I would like to add that I'm also comfortable with the other bonds and securities that have been offered to protect the city's interests, and understand that during the course of construction, certainly changes like this can come up. So I'm comfortable as well.
Great, thank you. All right, Suzanne?
Thank you. Nakai,
Yes.
Bryant,
Yes.
Here,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Ace.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, council. That takes us to reports and mayor's report. I have something to share. Was at the PPACG Board of Directors meeting yesterday and found out from we have military installation reports at each of our meetings. And I found out, and probably you guys already know this, but it was news to me. The Air Force Academy graduation, USAFA's graduation, it will be the last week of May. On Tuesday, after Memorial Day, the events begin with some events for family and the students that are graduating. Thursday will be the graduation at 0900 hours, weather permitting. That would be the 29th. graduation, and we will be having the Thunderbirds, again, weather permitting. And 11:30 to 12:30 approximately is when that air show will be. So look for your viewing place, not pulling over on the side of Highway Interstate 25. And we talked a lot about the legislative session and the ending of that. And that's what I have from there. And then I have events to share. Community events from May 15th to June 5th. On Thursday, May 22nd from 2 to 4 p.m. at Memorial Park. Woodland Park area responders are hosting the end of school barbecue. Come and join members of our local first responder community for food, drinks, and games as we kick off summer break and celebrate the end of another school year. On Saturday, May 24th and Sunday, May 25th from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Woodland Park Library, Colorado Parks and Wildlife will be conducting a Colorado Hunter Education course. All course material will be provided and registration is required. Check out the Woodland Park Library website for more information. And just a reminder that Monday, May 26th, City Hall will be closed in observance of Memorial Day. And just a note, I know we were supposed to have availability for pine needles to be taken away at the fire stations, but I heard today that they are plumb full. So I think they're done, although it was supposed to go for the whole week. That's all I have, Catherine.
What was the date for the Hunter's Ed?
May 24th and Sunday, May 25th from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. You're welcome.
Okay, so let's see, I have the charter review committee met yesterday and we had a really good meeting and discussed a number of things. Going back and looking at our conflict of interest, we did look at some technical changes and we discussed wards and districts. And then the next meeting is June 11th, between 2:30 to 4:30 upstairs in the conference room. And then with the resignation of Carol, I would respectfully request that we appoint Seth to replace her on the committee with me.
Oh, thank you for that. Thank you for keeping up with that. Any objections, council? For Seth to take Carol's place on that?
None at all.
Not at all.
All right,
Thank you.
Seth, go get him.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and that's all I had.
Seth?
Well, thank you so much. I'll obviously have more to report in the future. But I would like to put the word out about one of, I think, the best events in the city are Keep Woodland Park Beautiful Citywide Cleanup. It's the 23rd annual cleanup event this Saturday, or not this Saturday, but Saturday, June 21st. Volunteer check-in begins at 8:30. The event kicks off at 9 a.m. through 1. It's a great opportunity to, put our town's best foot forward, make sure our main street is looking great. If you are going to volunteer, please make sure you complete a registration liability waiver online. That includes if you're an individual participating as part of the group. There is also an opportunity, if you've got some trash piling up, doing some spring cleaning. Apex Waste Solutions of Teller County has a generous opportunity for Woodland Park residents from 10 a.m. To 12 on Saturday, June 21st, so that same day. Folks can bring trash and items to be recycled for drop-off at the transfer station and Divide. There is no charge to utilize this service, so it's a great opportunity to get rid of those things that have been piling up in your garage. But if you are a resident, you've got to show a form of identification like a driver's license or a state ID to be able to drop off for free.
Thank you. Jeff?
All right, so before I get into my Parks and Rec report, I just want to take an opportunity to comment on the recent resignation of Councilmember Harvey. I want the community to understand that she did that so that the taxpayer could be saved the cost of a special election, which is not cheap. Carol Harvey is certainly one of the most dedicated public servants you will ever find, and it was an absolute honor to serve with her. I have no idea if she's online or listening right now, but I wanted to extend a personal thank you to her for all of her guidance and mentoring during my year plus here on this council. Carol has always strived to do the right thing for the taxpayer, and this community, I believe, owes her a debt of gratitude for her service. Recalls by nature are divisive and pit neighbor against neighbor. So, I'm sad to look to my right and not see her here tonight, but I totally understand the decision that she made, and I wish her the utmost best moving forward. So, that's just what I wanted to say regarding Councilmember Harvey's resignation. So, in closing out for a Parks and Rec update, the reimagining of Bergstrom Park public meeting will be May 28th from 5 to 6:30 p.m. at the UPCC. So I hope to see you there. And Parks and Rec Advisory Board has started working on the draft master plan for the Avenger Open Space Conservation Easement. And that is all I have.
Thank you, Jeff. George?
Yeah, thank you. Oh, that's weird. So, we have we had our DDA meeting this past Tuesday, and it went spectacularly well. We approved 33 micro grants, which I think the bulk of which, maybe save 2, were all exterior work, and that was fantastic. One was conditional, so we have a legal review on that. And so it was great. It was fantastic. I love the participation from the business community in that program. And I wanted to also let folks know John did a great job along with the rest of the board getting that program together. The other thing I was going to mention is community partnership. Partnering with the city is building a community garden on city property. And you may have heard us talk about that a little bit in the past, but they're asking for volunteers for some help. And so those who are interested in any aspect of a community garden, May 19th, they're assembling corrugated metal beds. So this would require leveling ground, screwing sheets of metal together to build frames and so on. And then on May 20th, they're doing the assemble and fill with soil. So this effort would require wheelbarrowing and shoveling. And we have a lot of dirt that we're trying to get into those things. And then there is a backup day recognizing Keep Woodland Park Beautiful on May 21st. The backup day for any weather event would be May 22nd. So I just wanted to let everybody know about that. And that's all I have.
Thank you, George. City Attorney? And City Manager.
Suzanne, I think you had a couple.
I
of items.
do. Thank you, Aaron. I also wanted to add to Councilmember Bryan's request and interest to be on the Charter Review Committee. He has also expressed interest on being the Keep Woodland Park Beautiful Committee. I think that's why he gave us all that great information tonight. So I am looking for council consensus to have Seth Bryan be our council liaison on that committee.
Thank
Two
you.
thumbs up.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay?
Yep.
I know
George?
you and
All
Chris
good.
connected already, right? Okay. So the final thing I have is, it's my duty to do a recall report to the council, even though I know we all know the outcomes. I have to go through it as your clerk. So on 4/29, I received 3 petitions for the recall of Councilmember Gear, Councilmember Smith, and Councilmember Harvey. On 5/5, I received a recall petition for Mayor Pro Tem Nakai. The signatures in total were a little less than 3,000 signatures when you put the 4 petitions together. I assembled a team to assist me with this, made up of staff and election judges, because we had to look at all these signatures. Each signature must be entered into a computer spreadsheet, and we have to put in their name, their address. So you can imagine how tedious this is, almost 3,000 names. It took us quite a bit of time. Every name must be checked. What we're looking for are they a registered voter? Do they live in the city of Woodland Park? Did they sign the petition twice? We have people that sign the same petition a couple of times, so we scan for duplicates and all different kinds of checks like that. For every signature that comes up that was unable to verify that, the judges or my staff came up with as a no, I review, because it's my duty to make sure a no is a no. So then I take every single no that comes up, I look in the voter regs myself, I look in the assessor's site, and I make sure that it's really a no. Because I don't want to ever disqualify a signature unless I'm absolutely sure. I was able to deem the petitions for Gear, Smith, and Nakai as insufficient. The petition, as Councilmember Gear mentioned earlier, for Harvey was deemed sufficient. As per our city charter, after deeming Harvey's petition sufficient, she had 5 days to resign, or we would automatically be holding a recall election. So state statute allows other municipalities that follow state statute allows them up until the ballots are ordered to resign. Our charter says 5 days. So she was pressed for a decision. And as we all know, the outcome of that was Councilmember Harvey chose to resign. So now that leaves us with an empty council seat. And so on June 5th, I will list as an agenda item for council the consideration of how you'd like to move forward. Council knows their options. You could leave the council as it is now with 6 seats. You could put out an application process and call for people interested. You can appoint somebody if you'd like, or you can hold a special election. So council has 4 different options, and we'll talk about it on June 5th, and you will give me direction on how you'd like to proceed. So that concludes my recall report. Any questions?
Council?
No? Thank you.
Thank you. George, you had any questions?
I do not. Thank you, though.
Thank you. Thank you, Suzanne. All right, anything else? If not, we are adjourned.
What time is it, Erin?